Hello, friends. Hello. Welcome to Sprints. This is the final camp sprints that I'm doing for this year. I think I'll probably do it next year in July. I think that's a good theme for sprints for the summer. So welcome. Oh no, am I going to be having trouble with my laptop today? I hope not. So let's see who has joined us, and then we'll talk about what we'll be doing tonight. Let me know if you're going to be reading, what you're going to be reading. If you are working on anything else, let me know. I am going to be reading or listening to an audio book, Color Me Murder, and it's by Krista Davis. It's book one in I think it's called the Pen and Ink series. There's only 4 books in the series, and it kind of ends semi-abruptly. The stories are really good. I wish there was like one more book to wrap it up, but unfortunately, her publisher didn't renew that series for a 4th book, but I do enjoy the other books in that series. So that's what I'll be listening to. And then I will be coloring because every time I listen to a cozy mystery and they have some hobby, like I want to do that thing. And so this is the main character is Flory, and she is a coloring book artist. So she designs coloring books for adults, and she works in a bookstore called Color Me Red. And she sells her books there, and it's like a traditional bookstore at section of coloring books for adults. I think they have some for children in there also. But every time I listen to this series, I just want to color. So I do like to color with regular crayons. I like to color with colored pencils. I like to color with alcohol markers. So those are the 3 mediums that I like to use when I color. Today I'll be doing coloring pencils, and I did stop at the bookstore to buy a new coloring book because all the ones that I have right now are for alcohol markers, and I really wanted to use colored pencils. So in a minute, I'll be working on some cross stitch. If I do that, I'll show you in the break between sprints. I ordered a kit for some cross stitch bookmarkers, and they're floral. So I'll show that to you if that's what I decide to do. Let's see what everybody else is doing and who is here. Oh, guys, we have Dina. She says, hello, everyone. I'm reading Other Birds by Sarah Addison. Well, wait a second. I may need to restart my laptop, guys. I thought I had done that. I thought it was shut down, but it might have just been asleep this last week. So Other Birds by Sarah Addison Allen. And hello, she says, hey, I'm reading Ordeal by Innocence by Agatha Christie. Let me know, Mahasin 3538, what you would like to be called tonight during sprints. And Kat's here, and she says, hi, everyone. I'm reading Deadly to the Core by Joyce Trumbull, book 1 in the Cider House Mysteries. Oh, that's interesting. I think there's another like maybe it's Cider Shop Mysteries by, what's her pseudonym for that? It's Jacqueline Frost, who is also Bree Baker, who is also, what is her name? Julie Ann. Last name starts with an H, and I think that's her real name is Julie Hatcher, I think is her real name. And she has a Cider Shop mystery series. It's only 3 books long. I'm really into the cozies right now this last week and a half. And Jamie's here. She says, hello. And Morgan, hey Morgan, she says, hi, I'm reading On a Coastal Breeze by Suzanne Woods Fisher. That sounds refreshing. I wish I had a coastal breeze right now. I don't know if any of you were watching Lucy's sprints yesterday, participating in those. The ambiance that she had, I just wanted to go to the beach, like, and just go. The beach isn't, I live in California, it's not too far from me, but 2 hours to get to the beach. But I will be at the beach in a couple of weeks because I'll be visiting my sister and she's only a few minutes. So that will be really nice. I love the ocean so much. And Katrina's here. She says, hi, listening to a debate on Acts 15, the first hour while doing dishes, and then switching over to chaos walking. Nice. And Tanya's here. Hey, Tanya. She says, hey, everyone. I like your hair, Em. So pretty. Thank you. It is up because it's hot. It's just a ponytail. I have naturally frizzy hair, but I do, look at that. That's like such a frizz. Also, I need to color it because it's been like probably 6 months. But thank you, Tanya. And she says, I'm reading The Hidden Key of Brooke Summer by Susan L. Tuttle. It's book 3 in a series. Reminds me of Charlie's Angels. How loved Charlie's Angels. Oh my goodness. That was, I used to play Charlie's Angels when I was like a little kid. During recess, my friends, we would like play characters like that we'd see on TVs, and like even at home, like with my cousin, we'd play James Bond 007 is what we called it. But when we were little, we just called it playing James Bond. So we used to play that. And at school, I would play Wonder Woman and I would play Charlie's Angels. And what else did we play? That was like, it was always like what we were watching on TV. We would play at school. And Mary Beth is here. Hi. She says, hey, I'll be alternating reading to Dance with a Duke. I want to read that one. I just finished reading To Love a Lady, and that's by Gabrielle Meyer, Part of Your World by Karen Whittemire. I still haven't started that one, Part of Your World series, the series that Karen is doing, but I want to. But yes, To Dance with a Duke. So nice. And Kat says, I love the Pen and Ink series. I wish there were more books in that series too. I love how she sketches out clues. Very unique. Yes. And I stopped at the bookstore on my way home from work. Where's my bag? Oh, guys, let me see if I can reach it. My cat's over here, so I'm kind of pinned down. Ugh. Oh, she moved. Look at my great big basket, guys. Ugh. Okay. And slices. My coworker gave those to me. I thought they would be a good snack for tonight. I have mail that I picked up. I have those bookmarks that I might cross stitch. So they have, I'll show you the little thing that came with it. So these are the designs. And then it came with all the floss and the bookmark already like printed on there so that you just stitch. And what did I do? There it is. So this is the series that of the book that I'm listening to. This is not the one I'm listening to. So this is farther down the line. So I'll be reading this later. But you can color the covers, and there's like clues to the mystery in the cover too. Look at that. Isn't that so cool? I love this. So I have this series on audio, but I am going to be ordering the books because I don't want them to go out of print and me not have them, because this is a series that I like to reread. And then I also got why did I put them so far? I also got a Bob Ross coloring book, and it's like color by number. So it has like, I don't know if you can see it. It has all of the numbers on there. I thought that would be fun. That's probably what I'll be coloring tonight. And then I got this book, Botanical Blooms, and just look, it's so nice. I thought this one would be a good one for colored pencils, because they're sharp and you can get into those little bits. So those are the coloring books that I got. And then I also got a book for book club next month, which is the start of another cozy mystery series by Sophie Kelly. And I think it's called The Magical Cats. But yeah, let's see. Let me turn my light on too, because I see that it's going. Yeah, it's a Magical Cats mystery, and Curiosity Thrilled the Cat. This is the first in the series, and there's a book club that I'm in that will be reading that book next month. So I wanted to have that ready. Ooh, guys, it is so hot in California. 8 degrees right now. And Jamie says, I will have to leave in an hour to go support Chrissy. Is it Chrissy? Which Chrissy? Tell me, Jamie. And Jeanette says, hello. Hi. Jeanette says, I will be doing my nails during the first sprint. I'm hoping to finish at least one of my 2 books on the go tonight. That's another thing that I wanted to do tonight. I have some nail wraps, and so I was going to try to do my nails because right now they are bare. And Jamie says, Julianne Lindsay is the name for the Cider Shop Mysteries. And Lucy's here. She says, hi from work. Can't stay long, but I wanted to say hi. And Hannah's here. She says, hello. Hey, Lucy and Hannah, I'm glad you're here. And Raven's here. I haven't seen you in a while. Welcome, welcome. She says, hi. And Hannah says, listening to Angel of Mercy by Tracy Peterson, about halfway through. And Raven says, tonight I plan to read The Door in the Wall, a 1949 Newbery Medal winner. Oh, interesting. I haven't heard of that one. Lucy says, I hope to catch up to Steve and Wing Feather Book 3 after work, and then want to try to finish my spy rom-com. Are you reading that Spies, Lies, and Alibis, Lucy? I'm really interested in it. I know a lot of people have been talking about it, but I've only been listening with one ear. But I actually paid attention to someone recently that was talking about it, and I think I want to read it. Or maybe I read like an Instagram review of it. And Jamie says, that is awesome. You can color the cover. Yeah, that is really cool, huh? I like it. I like that about it. And Tanya's asking, where did I get that cool Bob Ross coloring book? That is very cool. I thought so. I loved Bob Ross when I was little. His Happy Little Trees. That's so cool. I got it at B&N. It was $10, and right now they're having a one half off. So on like their coloring books and craft kits and things like that. There we go. So I got these two for $15, 10 and 5, plus minus my Barnes and Noble discount for being a member. Oh, that's right, Amy. Why did I not think that was tonight? She says, Finding Faith in Fiction, Chrissy. It's her birthday and she's doing a bingo thing on her channel. Yes, I remember seeing that on Instagram, and I didn't think it was tonight though. And Kat says, the Magical Cat series was the first cozy I ever read and got me into cozies. I hope you enjoy it as much as I do. I think that I have already read this first one, and I may have already read the second one. I won't know yet until I start reading it again, because none of the names or anything ring a bell on the back, but the magical cat mystery sounds familiar. So I think I have already read a couple of these, but we will know. I mean, I will know when I start reading it. All right. Did we make it to the bottom of the comments? I think we did. Let's go ahead and get our first sprint started. I am actually going to probably try to switch laptops so I can restart this one. But we'll do a little longer sprint this first time, just in case I have to do that. I want to have some time to also get some reading in. So let's go for almost 45 minutes. So we will go to 30 after. So we'll see you back 30 after. Oh, before we go, we got one more comment. Annie's here. She says she's reading Fudge and Felonies by Lisa Seifert. So welcome, Annie, and we'll see you all back at 30 after. Hi, all. We are back. Hey, I am going to extend this sprint another like 10 minutes because today is Chrissy from Finding Faith in Fiction's birthday, and she is hosting some birthday sprints over on her channel. Again, that's Finding Faith in Fiction. So I would like to go pop in and wish her a happy birthday and sprint with her for a little bit. Well, chat with her for a little bit. So if y'all don't mind, Finding Faith in Fiction, and I will just extend this sprint like another 10 minutes, and then we'll be back to chat over here. Okay, so put a banner up. We'll go till 10 after, and I hope to see you back. All right, welcome back, those of you that are here. Chrissy has started her sprints and she is going to be playing a bingo game over there. I'm going to read some of the comments here that came in. If you're still with me, let me know how you did that sprint. I know it's longer than what I normally do, but yeah, we're just going to play it by ear here. Hopefully you guys can sprint hop if you're trying to, if you know Chrissy and want to be a part of her sprints. That's totally great with me. Let's get these comments here. And then I have some trivia that I had planned to play tonight. So Jamie says on the Cider Shop Mystery Books, her name is actually spelled Julie Ann Lindsay instead of Julianne. She has so many pseudonyms, and she was like a guest on a Zoom book club that I'm a part of, and she did say that the reason she did is because she works with different publishers, and of course that each publisher doesn't want her to use a name that she's using with another publisher. And then sometimes too, for the series, she tries to get the name to go with the theme of the series. So like Jacqueline Frost for the Christmas Tree Farms, which I think is pretty fun and such a neat thing to do. I think I would have trouble keeping track of all of that, but maybe not. And Grandma Susan's here. She says, good evening all. I'm at 83% in the life she forgot. Hope to finish tonight. Just finished writing a review. Is that by the author? Well, who's the author? Because I'm thinking, is it one of two that I'm thinking? And she says the review for First Sign of Danger by Kelly Armstrong is the other review that she's writing. And Bethany popped in to say hi, everyone. She just got home a little bit ago, about to start reading. And that was actually, I had the wrong banner and I said the wrong thing. My math was like all off. I don't know what I was counting, because this 45-minute sprint would have taken us to the top of the hour, not 30 minutes, which would have been like less than 10 minutes. And Bethany says, I didn't read. I messaged my mom and sister, and that's because she thought that the sprint was over. But Bethany, I'm glad that you got to message with your family. I love that. And here I am saying that my math is wrong. And Bethany is going to read now. All right. So I don't know, like I said, who is out there. I'm going to talk a little bit about what I got up to during the sprint. And I don't think that really restarting my computer helped, but we'll see. Annie got to 48%. Awesome. Morgan read 13 pages. Very nice. Jeanette got her nails done. Nice. And read another chapter, 79%. And she should finish this one tonight. And Tanya says, Grandma Susan, I want to read that. I asked the library to order it. Nice. I have yet to ask my library to order a book that they don't have. Like I'll do interlibrary loan, but I haven't like gone to a librarian and said, hey, can you order this book? And Jeanette says, you scared me with the over an hour. Oh, also Tanya had got 2 chapters read that sprint. Very good. I know my math, like all wrong. And Bethany read a few chapters in 2 books. Very nice. So I'm going to go get my nail wraps and see what I have, and maybe y'all can help me pick some, and I'll do that during the next. Sorry. Okay, just kidding, because I don't know what I did with my box of nail wraps. So I'll have to see. I probably took it to the restroom. And Katrina's given her feet a break. Nice, nice. I do want to do my nails, so I do need to look for those nail wraps. And as far as my coloring book, I really wanted to do this. I got these color pencils that are a pretty good quality, and they're like double-sided. So there's 13 pencils, but you have 26 colors. But then I looked at the chart. Excuse my cat's tail. There's 35 colors on the chart, and I only have 26 colors on my pencils, and I was trying to match them, but I also have these color pencils, and so I might use these instead. And so I didn't get very far. This is my little card of the colors that are in this folder, and I was trying to match them up and make like a little chart of what each color would be by number. Guys, please excuse my cat. So I didn't get any coloring done, but I'm like partway set up to color during the next sprint. I also did not fill my water bottle. I also did not pull out those nail strips. And yeah, so I don't know. I listened to my book a little bit. I did restart my computer, this one that I'm using now, to see if that would help with the ambiance freezing and disappearing and stuff. So we'll see how it does. It looks a little better. I feel like I'm not like, because I could see myself freeze like for a millisecond, and it doesn't look like it's happening as much as it was, but we'll see. And Mary Beth is here. Hello. She says, I read 3 chapters. Awesome. And Tanya says, Humphrey is a superstar. He's so cute. He is super cute, super cute. As soon as I saw him, guys, I will tell you his adoption story. So I had a cat, Harrison, for 18 years. And I had him from when I lived in Southern California all the way to when I moved up here to Northern California. I got him, how old? I don't remember how old I was when I got him, but I had him for 18 years. And he sadly, I went to Southern California for Christmas, and my cousin that lives up here, she was coming in to check on him, and she called me on Christmas Eve, and she was crying, and I was like, what's wrong? And she's like, I went to check on your cat, and she's like, he died. And I was like, it's okay. I was like, he was 18. He had the last 6 months, he had been very slow. Like, I knew that it was coming. I was sad that she was the one that found him. And then her and her husband kind of had to, deal with that, and took him over to my parents' house where I was going to bury him. But it was a very sad thing. And this cat that I'd had for almost 2 decades, that was such a big part of my life. It was hard, even though I expected to lose him, and I just felt like I couldn't get another cat, because how was I going to find another cat that would mean as much to me as Harrison did? And so for 4 years, I didn't have another cat, but I was realizing as time was going on that I am a cat person, and I need to have a cat in my life at all times. And so I started looking to adopt a cat. And my niece really was into it. She's like, when are you going to get another cat? When are you going to get another cat? And she was, let's see, how old was she? She was like a teenager-ish, young teenager. And so this was in 2017. And I was looking on Pet Finder, and I found a little cat at a rescue, and he was a kitten, and his name was Oliver. And that is one of my favorite names, like, of all time. And he was just a cute little gray cat, and a rescue cat. So I met him, and immediately he reached his paw out to me. And I thought, oh my goodness, he's like reaching out to me. And like none of the other cats did because they had a lot of cats available for adoption. Um, but when I went, and I was walking up to all the crates and other people were walking up to his crate. But when I walked up, he reached his little paw out and I was like, yes. So I did the adoption process, brought him home. And 8 months later, he got really sick. And he was just like a month shy of turning 1. Um, is that right? I think that's right. So I'd had him for 8 months, and he was about 11 months old. And he got FIP. So it's like some kind of cat disease. There's no recovering from it. And his body was filling with liquid. And so I took him to the vet. Well, first he wasn't eating or he wasn't pooping, is what I noticed. And so I called the vet and they're like, bring him in. And by the time that I went to take him into the vet, he had like swelled up because he had liquid in his around his organs. So they drained him and they're like, here's some medicine, but really we're just going to have to put him down. So I went and I got a second opinion and they did the test for that disease and it came back positive. So I did have to have him put down because he was just not going to recover. And I didn't want him to be in pain. And it was very hard, guys. I was like crying all the time. Every time I thought of my little Oliver and how young he was and how he hadn't hardly lived life at all, to the point where I was in church one day and we were singing a hymn and I started crying and I like couldn't keep singing because he was on my mind and I like walked out of the chapel and somebody followed me and asked me what was wrong and I thought I was so silly because I was crying over my little kitten and she gave me a big old hug and settled me down and I went home and I thought about it and I was like, okay, I've only had Oliver 8 months and already he was such a part of my life that it hurt so much when I had to put him down. And I thought, okay, if I could attach myself so much to a cat in 8 months when I thought I couldn't after having Harrison for 18 years, I was like, I'm just a cat person and I can have that attachment again. So right away, I knew that I was going to have another cat after Oliver. But we had like a big camping trip planned. So I didn't want to get a cat before the camping trip because then I'd have to find like somebody to come in to take care of him while I was away. And I thought after I get back from my camping trip, I will get another cat. So we went camping at Big Bear. It was wonderful. We were there 3 or 4 days and I was in Southern California in my hometown and I was staying with my aunt and we were going to be coming back up. My cousin and I that live up here and her family were going to be coming back up the following day. But I was spending the night at my aunt's house. And I was looking at again, Pet Finder, and I was looking up in Northern California, and I was probably going to contact the same rescue that I had gotten Oliver from. But I was just like checking to see, what's available in my hometown. And the animal shelter there had a webpage and had animals listed. And then it had animals that had like a little asterisk, which meant like if they weren't adopted, like they were going to be euthanized. And one of them was a little white cat named Jimmy, and that had a big old splotch on his nose. And I thought, oh my goodness, he's so adorable. And he had the little asterisk. And I was showing my aunt, and I was like, look at this cute cat. And she's like, do you want to go see him? So we went to the shelter. And, I told the lady at the desk, I'm here to see Jimmy. And she's like, oh, he's right over here. And this is like the county animal shelter. And so they have an adoption fee, but it's not terribly high. So the adoption for a male cat was $35. And I was like, oh, yeah, no problem. So I went and I saw him. And guys, when I walked up to the cage where he was in, there were two cats in there. And this little white cat, Jimmy, immediately went out and stuck out his paw, just like Oliver had done. So I took that as like, this is the cat for me. So I went back to the desk and I was like, yes, I want to adopt him. I was like, but I live out of town. And she's like, oh no, he's fixed already. You can take him home today. And I was like, great. So we're doing the paperwork. And she's like, that'll be $10. And I was like, what? And she's like, yep, $10. So he was on sale. And they gave me a bag of food and a pooper scooper. And I was like, oh my goodness, all this, he's on sale. I can take him. He's already fixed. He was only 9.5 weeks old. So, in my experience, cats are usually older when they're neutered or spayed. But yeah, so he was like ready to go and meant to be my little cat. That was Humphrey. So I changed his name. He went through like 5 names before I got him home. I was going to name him Finn. I was going to name him Theo. Theo stuck around the longest. That made it all the way through the drive. And I forget what the other names that I considered. But as soon as I got home and I was like getting him settled in and I turned on the TV and Death in Paradise, I was watching that. And the detective on that show is named Humphrey. And I was like, oh, Humphrey, like Humphrey Bogart. And I was like, oh, that's great. I love it. So he became Humphrey, no longer Jimmy. And he has been like such a blessing in my life. And I love him to death. And he's such a character and just raises my spirits. But he is a very, a clingy cat. And I work, so I'm gone a lot of the day. And when I would get home at night, I'm like, oh, what's he been doing during the day? Because he just wanted to be like all over me, well, just like he is during sprints. So I talked to the cat rescue lady up here, and she's like, you know what? She's like, he probably needs a companion cat. And that's how I ended up with Audrey. But yeah, those are my two cats that I love to death. And that's how I ended up with my little sweet Humphrey. It's such a character. And Kat says, "Hi Humphrey, you're hilarious, and you don't even know it." You know what? He probably does. And Annie says, "Colored pencils are blendable, so you can make your own shades. Just start with the lightest color first." Yes, and these in particular too. I think I've talked about this company before, Spectrum Noir, and these are blendable colors. So I took a whole class from this company, like it was a course, a whole course of like coloring. What was it called? It was called, maybe it was just called Coloring Academy. I don't remember. But at the end, we got like a little certificate that we graduated. And it was all about shading, using blendable color pencils, using watercolor pencils, using watercolor markers, using alcohol markers, using, what else did we use? That might have been it. And it was like, I don't remember like how often it was, either every once a month or every 2 months. We got like a box that had all of the supplies of whatever it was that we were going to be learning. It came with stamps. It came with like if we were using, we had like an acrylic paint white marker to do like little details. So it came that month when we were going to be learning that. It was called Academy of Color. That was the name of the program. But yeah, so these are the pencils that came with that course. And yeah, it was really fun. I learned a lot. And blending, yes, blending not just two colors, but blending into like a ombre, but also just blending, stacking them to create new color. So, yeah, but thank you for reminding me. And Jeanette says, I love Death in Paradise. That's so cool that it inspired his name. Yes. And now Humphrey, that character, is on a spin-off series called Beyond Paradise, which is just as good as Death in Paradise. And Tanya says, you could so make a children's book series of Humphrey. Thank you for sharing that. Death in Paradise is such a great show. Yes. Yeah, for sure. Okay. All right, guys. Well, we are at 30 after. I think now would be a great time to go into a sprint. And Jeanette says, yes, just as good. And I started watching Return to Paradise, which is the Australian one. Season 2 just came up on BritBox. I think the third episode was just released this week. So I was watching that. I love those shows. And those were created by Robert Thorogood, that wrote the Marlowe Murder Club series of books, which I just read a couple of weeks ago. And he also created that TV series based on those books. So yeah, he does a fine job with all those cozy mysteries. Okay, so let's go into our next sprint, and we will let's go to 15 after. That will give us just over 40 minutes, if my math is right. Anybody, if I don't get my math right, let me know. But I think that's right, 15 after. And Tanya says, I'll have to check out those other two shows. They're on BritBox. And Jeanette says, I can't get Return to Paradise yet. I know, isn't that so sad? There's shows that I know that they've been advertising. There's one show that it's season 2. It's Ludwig. Season 2, I think it's out in Britain this month, but it's not coming to the US until later this year sometimes. And it's just sad. And Jeanette says, yes. Yeah. Okay, let's get our sprint started, guys, and we'll see you back at a quarter after. All right, we're back. Welcome back. I did actually do some coloring that sprint. Not a lot, but I've got some done. I'm happy with how that tree is turning out. That's what I'm working on right now. Um, this is fun. I'm really liking this. So I picked, it has pictures of what all of the pages would look like colored. And there's so many pages, guys. There are, let's see, 190. Wait, did it start at one? It didn't start at one. No. So 191 minus 9 minus 8 is how many coloring pages there are in here. Yeah, I'm going to have a lot of fun with this book. I'm loving it, loving it. And I picked this one because it has, going along with the summer camp vibes with the pine trees and the open space back here. I think this was like a little creek or a brook or something like that. I remember when I went to summer camp, there was a creek where we were very excited to go. We got to go a couple of times during the week, and we could actually bathe in there. We had to use Ivory soap. I think it was Ivory because it like all of the whatever it's made out of was fine to use there. Otherwise, we were doing solar showers because the camp that I went to was not like a fancy camp. I mean, as far as like we didn't have cabins and stuff like that. We pitched our tent. We did our little trench around it in case it rained. We had a campfire that we had to chop wood for. It was a lot of fun. I loved it every year. But yeah, the things that we did, we had again solar showers, so we had to like put a pallet down. We'd rig up this like shower curtain kind of around with maybe some. I guess we had maybe some PVC pipes or something, and we had to do like a hook. I think we would like do it kind of close to the tree, so the tree was like part of the support. I don't even remember because it was, excuse me, a long time ago, but I do remember that we would all kind of fight to take the first shower with the solar bag because then what we were doing was having to like do like a gallon milk jug with holes poked in it and pour like water that we had boiled on the campfire with um, cooler water to get it to a fine temperature to put into that milk jug and take a shower that way. I'm telling you, rustic, but it was such a great time. So we looked forward to going to the creek where we could actually, I mean, it was cold, but it was summertime. But yeah, lots of fun camping. I love it. Okay, let's see what everyone else got up to during this sprint. Jeanette read 3 chapters and made it to 88%. Nice. And Katrina got to 11% in orbiting Jupiter. Morgan read 16 pages. And Tanya says, my cats always calm down when I turn on Bob Ross on the Roku channel app on TV. He was so amazing with his painting. Yes, he is. He was so good all the time with the little squirrels and, like in his pocket and, the happy trees. I always remember the little clouds, and he was just, his voice was so calming. And how he just like, oh my goodness, his amazing paintings. And it just like, it looked like it took him no effort at all to do that. I love that. I was always so impressed. And Annie says, when I went to day camp, they only had outhouses that I was so scared of. I was very skinny and the holes were too big. Oh no. So I was so scared I was going to fall in. I would hang on for dear life. At the camp that I went to, um, except for one year because there were wildfires, so they moved it to a different location. And that camp had like hot running water showers. And like regular flush toilets, but the camp that I went to all the other years had latrines, and they were scattered throughout because there was like a lot of smaller groups that were part of the big camp, and so there was latrines scattered through, and each campsite had one day that they were assigned to clean the latrines. And basically, you had some Lysol, you had a mop, you had a bucket, and you had to go in there and just like wipe everything down and spray the Lysol and pour water into the hole. But yeah, that again, I don't know, it doesn't sound great, but I had a great time. And Bethany says, I read another chapter, lost all willpower, and just ate ice cream. I'm so jealous. I think that no, I have a fudgesicle in the fridge, in the freezer. I'm going to have a fudgesicle next sprint. I was going to say that I only had vanilla ice cream, but I don't. I have a fudgesicle. I have a box of fudgesicles in there. So I'm going to have me a fudgesicle. Yeah, I am like super loving this coloring and this coloring book and my coloring mystery. And what I need to do, I think this is book 3? Let's see. Yeah, this is book 3. There's 4 books. I do not own physically Color Me Murder that I'm listening to or The Coloring Crook. So I will need to get those. And then the 4th book, which I don't remember what the 4th book is called. These are just so fun. I'm of 2 minds of coloring the cover because I'd like to, because I like coloring, but also I'm not like a write in your books person, and I feel like coloring the cover kind of like goes with that. I don't know. Y'all tell me what you think. Should I color the cover or not? And Bethany says the Bluebell chocolate lava cake ice cream is amazing for those who may need to know this. That does sound amazing. Chocolate lava cake ice cream. Does it have like a ribbon of like fudgy chocolate? And Tanya says, lol, Bethany, this sprint was sponsored by Bluebell ice cream. That would be great. Yes. And Tanya says, thank you for the info. I did need to know that, saving it for future reference. I love combination. I mean, like fudge or caramel and ice cream, nuts, peanuts, walnuts, pralines, pecans. One of my favorite ice creams is butter pecan. I love it. I went to McDonald's the other day and I was going to get a sundae, and I thought, let me mix it up, because I normally get a caramel sundae. They used to put peanuts in it, but they don't anymore. But I had some peanuts at work, so I kind of just like took my water bottle and mashed them up. And then I thought, oh, I'm going to get a caramel sundae. Oh, I'm going to get a caramel and add hot fudge to it. So I did that, and it was not great. I should have stuck just to the caramel or a hot fudge, but not try to mix them. And then I did put my peanuts in it. That part was good. And Annie says, I love that coloring series. I just have one of the hard copy books. I haven't colored it yet, but no, you do have to use the permanent markers. Okay, mine is like the soft cover, and I know that she said that she had the covers specially done so that they would take color. So I think, let me see how thick this is. I like to color with alcohol markers, and I like to color with colored pencils. But I think if I do end up coloring it, I'll use the color pencils because there's like printing on the inside of the cover, and the alcohol markers I think would go through. So I don't know. I might test a little corner, maybe right here where these apples are, and see if it goes through or not. If it doesn't go through, I might use my alcohol markers if I decide to color it. And Bethany says, the description says vanilla ice cream with chocolate cake pieces, chocolate sundae sauce, and a dark chocolate fudge swirl. Amazing. And Jeanette says, I miss the days they gave out peanuts with the sundaes. Yeah, me too. But also, I have a nephew that used to be um, deathly allergic to peanuts. He has had oral immunotherapy now, so he doesn't have that allergy anymore. Um, but at the, before that, even the peanut oil, touching it would cause a reaction in him. So I understand, why they would do that. But yeah, I miss that. I miss that. And Annie says, I think mine is the first of the series, so only takes Sharpies, she said. Interesting. And Tanya says, did they stop giving those out because of allergies? I think that's why. And yeah, Jeanette says, I assume it's because of allergies. I would think so too. It's interesting to me too. And I wonder, like, if there's any like documentation or studies or anything that would have the answer. Are there more people with peanut allergies now, or did we just not know about it? Because when I was little, it wasn't till probably when I was like in high school that I even heard of somebody being allergic to peanuts. But now it feels like it's so common in all of the major common allergens. You hear more people being allergic, or I hear more people being allergic to those, where I didn't hear about any type of allergy until I was in high school, and that was peanut allergy. And Jeanette says it sure seems like there is more now. Yeah. When my nephews, so my sister has 4 kids, a girl and 3 boys, and the 3 boys all have food allergies, or all did when they were younger. And my niece has none. And so with her first boy, he was allergic to tree nuts, and he also has done the oral immunotherapy, so he can eat those now. Um, and the next one was the one allergic to peanuts, and the third one is allergic to, or was allergic to, dairy and eggs and sesame. So he can't have sesame seeds, but he can't sesame seeds and sesame oil, but like a ground sesame, like sesame flour he can have. It's like really weird. But it's just like if something has sesame seeds or sesame oil, my sister still doesn't let him eat that. But sesame flour is okay. Really weird. And he can eat dairy and eggs now. But I remember he always used to have, that youngest one always used to have alternate food. So, like, if the family was having pizza, he couldn't have cheese. So, he had like a pita bread with some homemade hummus or something like that without the uh, tahini. But yeah, it's allergies are so interesting to me. So interesting because when her all 3 of her boys were diagnosed with allergies, she was talking to the doctor about why. And there's a history of asthma in my family, and my sister will have bouts of eczema. And so he's like, that's, kind of like an allergy thing too. And then my brother-in-law is Asian. And so he said that their combination could have contributed to their boys having a higher likelihood of allergies, but it's not really like hereditary. But yeah, very interesting. And Tanya says it's got to be from chemicals and food. Everything is so different now, right? I know. I know. Just even like the simple things aren't simple anymore. I was trying to think of that ice cream commercial where it had the little girl reading the ingredients of the ice cream. Um, and somebody at work said that the ice cream that it was an ad for was Dryers because she could pronounce like the ingredients, and the other ones were all like chemical things. But I didn't look it up, so I can't verify that. But I thought that was such a cute commercial. And like, so nowadays it's so like true, like almost everything you read the label, it's hard to, unless you buy those foods that are specifically catering to that market that's trying to eat cleaner. You look at all of the regular processed food and there's just like things that you can't pronounce. Uh, all right, guys. I said we were going to play some trivia, so I do have these. I had these. I've had these for a long time. I use them at work, or I use them now. Like I have too much work, but probably a couple of decades ago, 15 years ago, um, during my break time, I would put in our like office messaging system one of these trivia questions and to see like who could respond first. And I would only send I actually wouldn't send it to the whole office. I only sent it to the people that wanted to play and that were available during that break time. But I thought these would be fun to use for sprints. Some of them, so this one that I opened is the TV trivia. There's also a movie trivia. So you guys let me know, which one do you want, TV or movies? And again, remembering that these cards are almost 20 years old. This is going to be like older TV and older movies. So let me know, movie or TV, and then we will do one of these cards. Bethany said movies. She responded first, so let's do that. Movies. Okay. I was cleaning my cubby at work and I saw these and I was like, oh, I should take those home to use for sprints. Okay. Okay, I don't know if you guys will know this. So this question says, who starred in and produced Yentl? A, Woody Allen, B, Bette Midler, C, Barbra Streisand. So those are your choices. Woody Allen, Bette Midler, Barbra Streisand, and who starred in and produced Yentl? Does anybody know? Tanya says movies. Jeanette says TV, and she's outvoted. Kat says C. Annie says B. Okay. Anybody else want to enter? And we can go back and forth. We can do a movie and then a TV. And Katrina says Barbara. And Tanya says B. Bethany says, I've never heard of that. Bethany, that movie came out late 80s, early 90s, I think. And Annie says Barbra Streisand. Okay. All right. And the answer to that is C, Barbra Streisand. She starred in and produced Yentl. It was a story of a woman that dressed as a boy so that she could have an education because only boys were allowed to study at that time. And Tanya says, I'm totally guessing, Bethany. And Jeanette says, never heard of it either. Yeah. Like I said, these cards, I don't know when they were done, but it does have a lot of movies and TV shows that are older because I've had them for a while. I sure would like to find a newer deck, but then I don't think I'm as up on newer movies and TV shows. Okay, we'll do a TV one now. Okay. A dirty trench coat and a cigar were trademarks of what detective? A, Jonathan Steed, B, McCloud, or C, Columbo? Do y'all know that one? Do I have any cozy mystery people? Bethany says Columbo. Jeanette says Columbo. Kat says Columbo. Tanya says Columbo. Annie says Columbo. Yep, y'all are right. McCloud, I don't think I know that series. Jonathan Steed was from the British Avengers, with the top hat or not the top hat, the bowler hat and his little walking stick. Bethany says, we have watched all of Columbo. Bethany, I used to watch Columbo when I was little, and I've watched repeats here and there, but I don't think I can say that I've watched them all. So that's amazing. And Katrina says Columbo. Jeanette says Peter Falk. Yeah, that was so good. All right, so let's go to a movie one next, and we'll play just for a few more minutes, and then we'll start our next sprint. Let's see. Okay. I'm trying to find some that are newer. Okay, maybe we'll know this one, maybe not. If you guys just say you don't know, then I'll pick a different question. But this says, in Superman, which part did Marlon Brando play? A, Lex Luthor, B, Perry White, or C, Superman's father? I know that, but I was really little when that movie came out. Well, not really little, but fairly little when that movie came out. Kat says C. Bethany says complete guess B. Tanya also B. Katrina says the reporter. Jeanette says A. All right. So the answer to that question, he played. Oh, we got another incoming A. The answer to that question is C, Superman's father. So in this movie, this is the one that stars Christopher Reeve as Superman. When Superman is a little baby, and it shows his mom and dad on Krypton, was that the name of this planet? And they're putting him in the little shuttle that sends him down to Earth. Marlon Brando played the dad in that. I don't remember who played his mom. She was also famous at the time, but like I didn't know her as a little kid, but I did know Marlon Brando from other stuff. Or maybe my uncle that I saw the movie with made a big deal about Marlon Brando, and that's why like that stuck. But yeah. Okay. TV. Okay, this will be our last question, and then we'll go into our next sprint. Okay. Man, some of these are like I would never have heard of these. Okay, here's one that y'all might know. Thank You for Being a Friend was the theme song for A, Friends, B, The Golden Girls, or C, Designing Women. I won't sing for you because I don't have a great voice. Jeanette says Golden Girls. Tanya says Golden Girls. Bethany says B. Kat says B. Annie says Golden Girls. Katrina says B. And the answer to that is B. Yes, the Golden Girls. So good. I love that song. It's so funny because I was at Old Navy, and they were playing it from like somebody that had redone it, like, more recently. But I was listening to it, and I was like, this is the theme from Golden Girls, and they were playing it like a radio song. All right, let's go into our next sprint. So we'll go till 20 after, and that'll give us just shy of 40 minutes. And everyone, enjoy your reading. I'm going to go back to my coloring and my mystery, see how far I get in it. We'll see you back at 20 after. All right, guys, how was that sprint for you? I did some more coloring. I'll show you. I'm really liking how this tree is coming out with the two colored greens and then the silver trunk. So yeah. Excuse me. I did have my fudgesicle during that sprint, and I found my nail wraps. So I'm going to ask you all, I have a handful here, which ones you think would be a good set for the next week and a half to 2 weeks. Let's see how you all did. Oh, I do have a question. So I'm listening to the audiobook, and I'm going to put in the comments here a word, and I want you to tell me one or two how you pronounce it. So let's see. Okay, so you tell me one or two about that, and I'll go ahead and start reading some comments here. Bethany says, thanks for the fun. I'm headed to bed. Good night, ladies. Good night, Bethany. I'm glad you were able to stop by. Tanya saying good night to Bethany. And Katrina is heading to bed too. Have a great night, everyone. Good night. Tanya says good night to Katrina. Kat says, thanks everyone for the sprints. Have a good night, everyone. Yes, for sure. Tanya also heading out. Good night, everyone. Thanks for the sprints. Jeanette, you were so close. 98%, one chapter left. Oh my goodness. Morgan, 18 pages. Awesome. All right, so here's my question. This word, do you pronounce it like one air, or do you pronounce it like two, rhyming with her? So air or one or two. Which way do y'all pronounce that? And then I will let you know how I pronounce it, because I'm wondering if that's one of those words that's pronounced different depending on where you're from, or am I just saying it wrong? Because I don't say it like the way they said in the book. So let me know. Do you say air or or something else? I'd like to know. Okay. While you guys are letting me know, here's my options for nail wraps. So my nails, my natural nails are not that long. They're long enough for me, but I type all day. So I don't like them to be much longer than this. They start bothering me. Annie, in the meantime, got to 61%. Awesome. So I have these nail wraps, and you'll see like they're not complete because I've already used this set one time. So this is once, I'm trying to get it to not, so you can see it. It's like a little floral with a kind of a bluey green base. And then I have this set, which if I pick this set, this is like a peach and pinky bees and flowers. I would like add this to make up all of the fingers. And then I have this set that's kind of like sunflowers. I just was wearing this one, but I was, I think that this is the one that I took off a few days ago. But I had like an accent nail in that kind of teal color that's in the flower and the leaves. That's that one. And then I have this one that's like a pink marble. And I have this one that's like a peachy pink with some yellow flowers, yellow and white flowers. And then I have this one that has like a kind of little design, white design on like a pale, like turquoise color. Let me know which one you like. The word, Annie, is either air or so like when you make a mistake. And Jeanette says one, but I can't say it's a word I say much. Yeah, I don't say it much either, but when I do, I say it the same way every time. And Annie said that she missed the word. So yeah, I was listening to this audiobook and the narrator reader said it one way and it gave me pause because I was like, oh, I don't say it that way. Am I saying it wrong, or is it just because of where I'm from? Like, does everybody here in California say it that way? I'll have to ask at work tomorrow and see. Jeanette says pink marble, but I also like the teal. Yeah, those are really pretty. I don't know if there's a way to not have that light glare on them. Yep, so I'll do one of those. So I say air, so it rhymes with like the air that we breathe. That's how I say it. And in the audiobook, she said I want to err on the side of safety, I think was a sentence. I mean, I totally understood it, but I was like, oh, wow. Do I just say that word wrong? Because I do say air. Because I feel like you say error, I made an error, not I made an error. And Jeanette says totally air. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you all for joining me for sprints tonight. Thank you, Jeanette, for narrowing down my choices. I am going to do one of these nail wraps, so you will see it next week and maybe earlier. Guys, still have my Steinbeck vlog that I need to edit and post, but I have ideas for videos that I want to do. So I want to get those filmed. So if I do my nails tonight and I have time this weekend, I don't have as many plans as I had last weekend to film some new content and maybe get it edited and posted. I would love that. And then you'll see my nails before next Thursday. Otherwise, you'll see them next Thursday. We will be having sprints again at 5 o'clock Pacific. So that's 8 p.m. Eastern. And I hope to see you all next week. Again, thanks for joining me tonight. I hope you all have a lovely evening and a lovely week. Until I see you next time. Bye.